mai luna mai e na me huna no o hemolele e ho mai ho mai ho mai ho mai ke ike mai luna mai e na me huna no o hemolele e ho mai ho mai ho mai ho mai ke ike mai luna mai e na me huna no o hemolele e ho mai ho mai ho mai And aloha.
Aloha.
It's so wonderful. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for being here today. I'm Kaleo Wheeler, and I'm a musical storyteller. I do what I call sharing messages from the heart. And so I'm going to take you on a little journey today through my stories. And you know, I've been very, very fortunate to have spent time in Hawaii with some master teachers there. I've lived with Hawaiians, I've studied with them. They've been extremely generous in all that they've shared with me about their culture, especially through their chant and hula, which is something that I love so much. And so now I play it forward. I bring it back here and I share it with everyone here. And so I'm going to be doing a little bit of that today. And whatever I do, whatever songs I sing, or like I say, chants or hulas that I do, it's all grounded in the Hawaiian tradition, which is about family. It's about caring for each other. It's about whatever I do to you, I do to myself. We're all interconnected. No one is ever left behind. It is such a rich tradition that most people on the mainland aren't even aware of. So in my concerts, I try to bring a little bit of Hawaii to you. And again, it's even with some of the songs I do that are different song styles. I've been singing for a lot of years and I've done a lot of different song styles. The underlying message is always about family coming from the heart and how we're all interconnected. So the first song I'd like to share with you is going to be with my harp, and the words kind of speak for themselves. yourself to love. Give yourself to love. You must give yourself to love. Give yourself to love. Thank you. Thank you. Mahalo. The Hawaiian tradition, that's called. Thank you is mahalo. You know, and with the Hawaiian tradition, talking about family, you know, for the Hawaiians, family is, it's your relatives, it's your blood family, it's your blood relatives, it's your close friends. But what's equally important to them that they consider family is what they call the Aina. And the Aina is nature, it's the land. There's no separation. And again, as I said earlier, you know, whatever I do to you, I do to myself, or whatever I do to the trees, to the flowers, to the birds, to the fish. We're all interconnected. And so there's a lot of songs, there's a lot of chants, there's a lot of reference to the Aina and how important it is. So I'd like to do another song with the harp for you, because, you know, this is really a universal message, isn't it? My ancestry is Celtic from my father. And there's this song that I absolutely love that I'm going to share with you. And it was written by a Scottish man who traveled to Ireland, and he fell in love with the land there. And he wrote this, he took an ancient Gaelic melody. If you look at the original words, it was all about war and loved ones dying and, you know, all of that. But it's this beautiful melody. And he took it and he wrote the words to it of what Ireland meant to him. And it is true, isn't it, that we're stressed, we're out of balance. We go outside and we just hang out in nature. Changes everything, doesn't it? It just brings us right back into focus. Come by the hills to the land where fancy is free, and stand where the peaks meet the sky and the rocks reach the sea. Where the rivers run clear and the bracken is gold in the sun, and the cares of tomorrow must wait till this day is done. Come by the hills to the land where life is a song, and sing while the birds fill the air with their joy all day long. Where the trees sway in time and even the wind sings in tune, and the cares of tomorrow must wait till this day is done. Come by the hills to the land where legends remain, where stories of old stir the heart and may yet come again, where the past has been lost and the future is still to be won, and the cares of tomorrow must wait till this day is done. And the cares of tomorrow must wait till this day is done. And the cares of tomorrow must wait till this day is done. Thank you. And continuing on that same note, bringing it now to the Hawaiian tradition and to their traditional Hawaiian hula. You know, hula is a number of things. It's an energy dance. It's ancient storytelling. It's balancing body, mind, spirit. It really is actually considered the heartbeat of the Hawaiian people, of the Hawaiian culture. And it speaks for itself when you see it. So this dance that I would like to share with you was written by an auntie, an elder. Her name was Auntie Lenny Kalama. And she wanted to honor the land, honor the Aina. And so she wanted to write something and write a chant and then a hula to honor actually the gift we have of this life. This incredible opportunity we have in being in this physical form and living this life through the breath that we breathe and through the amazing elements around us. She had also traveled for a time with a medicine man here on the mainland, a Great Bear, who taught medicine wheel. And that, again, was all about honoring and connecting to the land through the medicine wheels. And so she realized that the Native Americans had the same love of the land, the Aina, as the Hawaiians. And so to honor that connection that she saw, she named this dance Ka'uhani Nui, which means Great Spirit. Now, they don't have a phrase like that in the Hawaiian language for God. So that was to honor the connection with the Native Americans. But then the dance is actually called Dance of the Elements. It's in Hawaiian, so I'll walk through it real quickly, because I know you're not used to interpreting hula as storytelling. So I'm making it a little easy for you. So it starts off with just saying, we honor you, Great Spirit, for the breath of life that flows through our bodies, for the sun that rises and shines in all its brilliance, for the moon that hangs in the sky in all its splendor, for the stars, amazing stars in the sky that twinkle at us, for the winds that we feel sometimes whipping around our heads, almost as if they're bringing messages to us, for the rain that falls into the ocean, for the rainbows that are so prevalent in Hawaii, that touch heaven and they touch earth. We, with humble heart, we thank you, Great Spirit, for this incredible gift of life. I, hula no kahana o ka uhane nui.
Maino oe Maino oe ka uhane nui ha mai ka ora eia no kala e alohi kuana kamahin nani kamahao nui nui na hoku imo kalani ona hona na makani o hello na ia helelei helelei ka ua i ke kai pamai ke alue kalani a me ka honua me ka puai me ka puai ha mahalo ia oe ka uhane nui
He noa no, ka uhane nui. So that's ka uhane nui. And I'm going to continue on with another hula, kind of in a little bit of a similar vein. Again, still talking about the land, talking about this life that we have. And that was actually an ancient style form of hula called kahiko. So it was something that was always done more as a sort of a ceremonial dance. The next dance I want to share with you is called an Awana. And it's a little bit more of a modern, it's still in Hawaiian, but it's a little bit more flowing. It's a little bit less formal. And this dance is called Cavalli hua. It was written by my teacher, Kawaikapuo Kalani Hewitt, and I won't make you remember that name. By the way, my full name is Kaleo Nahi Nahi o Nalani, which means the warm and comforting voice of the heavens. People have enough of a hard time remembering Kaleo. But anyway, this dance talks about the cycles of life and how everything in life is cycles, isn't it? And it basically talks about it through the symbol of this flower called the lehua that grows high up on the mountains, and that the rains help to carry it down from the mountains into the ocean, carry these beautiful flowers. The flower is also symbolic of the child. So you could say this is also seeing how a child is born, how the child is carried in the womb of the mother, in the placenta, is fed, and then at one point it is born and it comes into this lifetime, okay? And you could see the waters, the ocean is the waters of life. And so this flower comes down through the waters, the rains carry it down where it dances playfully in the waves. And then as we can see with the waters in the ocean, they will, at some point, I'm losing my word, sort of evaporate and get carried back up to the heavens, into the clouds, and then they come back down and rain again, don't they? So there's always this recycling, this renewal, this rebirthing. And it is through that energy that we create this energy of aloha, this new life through this energy of love. And then it just speaks about this mele is about this symbolic child that has this connection to the land. We're all, again, interconnected. And just briefly to share with you, you might say, oh, well, we talk about reincarnation. But to me, a lot of people don't believe in that, which is fine. To me, the way I see it is also the intergenerational connections, that we come into this life. Like I say, we give birth. We give birth to that child, that next generation, and that next generation, and that next generation. And I had a talk with Kawaikapuo one time, and he was saying the reason why the Hawaiians have maintained their culture, even though they've been persecuted like a lot of other indigenous peoples, it's because they have history. They go back thousands of years as a people. And he said the problem with those of us in the mainland here is we come here from other countries and then we forget about them. Oh, we're now Americans. We've only got, 250 years of history. That isn't really a lot of continuity, is it? So that's what this dance is speaking about, is that when you honor your tradition, you honor your history, you honor where you come from, you honor the people who came before you, and you see where their strengths were, what helped them to get through their challenges, it gives us something to hold on to, doesn't it? It helps us to know that we're not alone in this world. So that's what this dance is about. It's called Cavalli hua.
From heaven above. peacefully amongst the waves. He kupala kahua I ke kai, ke ho'i hou e aloha mai. He kupala kahua the waters of the sea evaporate and become the rain, and the rain falls to the earth and brings new life. Hemele no e kulani, Cavalli hua a ala ka honua. This song is for you, my royal child, and your name is Cavalli hua a ala ka honua.
I'd like to share a story now. An experience I had a number of years ago when I was living in New York City. And how many of you liked the Beatles? And who was your favorite Beatle? Ringo. I liked Paul. But anyway, I was living in New York and I was working as what was called a music copyist at that point, where I was working on Broadway shows and writing notes, laying out all the pages for the different musicians to be able to read the music from. Excuse me. And so you'd sit and write notes all day long, and if you're working on a Broadway show, sometimes you'd be working 12 and 14 hours a day. So by the end of the day, you were tired, and you'd been sitting there all day. So I worked at 60th and Broadway, and I sometimes then would like to walk up to 79th Street, so then I'd take the crosstown bus home. But it'd give me time to get moving a little bit, right? So I left work one night, and I was walking up Broadway, and it was dark already. And I went to cross a side street, and I looked, and nothing was coming, and I went to step out into the street. And suddenly, this cab goes tearing by. I don't know where it came from. I mean, I literally had to jump back, and I don't even want to think what might have happened if it had hit me. I might not be standing here. And I remember thinking, whoa, they're really in a hurry. And I remember looking at it after they passed, and I saw that there were two people in the back seat, and one had their head over on the other person's shoulders, and I thought, and they were going over toward the west side of town. Well, I don't know what that's about, but I'm just glad I'm still standing here. So I took a couple deep breaths, got myself back, a little organized, continued walking up, and got to 79th Street, took the bus across town, got home, kind of forgot about it, had dinner, relaxed, and then I turned the TV on to watch the news. And I found out that John Lennon had just been shot. And his apartment was on the Upper West Side, and they did not wait for the ambulance. They put him in a cab and rushed him to the hospital on the west side of town. Now, I don't know. I can't tell you. But that could have been the path that the cab would have taken to take him to the hospital. And that cab, excuse my language, was going like a bat out of hell. I mean, it was moving. Well, like I say, John was never my favorite. But I found myself, I mean, you still feel when something happens like that, but I found myself so distraught. I sobbed all night long. I could not shake the feelings and the grief that was coming up because of what had happened, which then encouraged me. A short time later, they had a memorial service for Lennon, and they were doing this all over the world, I think on the same day, where they were having a service in Central Park where people were going to meet and hold a silent vigil for 10 minutes to honor him. Now, I don't normally like big crowds like that, so I would not have gone. But because of what happened, I could not go. So on the day of the service, I found myself with 100,000 other people walking into Central Park in the area around Strawberry Fields. And we all walked in. They were talking a little bit, but quiet. We all found our space, standing. I don't remember exactly how they let us know, but they let us know when the 10 minutes started. And then there was 10 minutes of total and complete silence. The only thing that you actually heard was the helicopters flying around above us, the media, recording it. And they said after that there was not one pickpocket, there was not one act of violence of any kind in the park that night, during those 10 minutes. Now, and so when the end of the 10 minutes, when it ended, we knew the 10 minutes were over by them playing this song.
Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us. Above us, only sky. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You. Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for. No religions too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will be as one. Imagine no possessions. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger. A brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will be as one.
And when the last note of the song ended, this was what was so incredibly amazing. The last note of the song ended, and 100,000 people walked out of that park in silence. It was like we had set an intention to honor this man of peace. And we came in there and we did what we had intended to do, maintaining not only the silence for the 10 minutes, but the silence as we walked back out into our lives. And the same thing was going on in places all over the world. Now you tell me, what can we as a people achieve if we set our mind to it? We can achieve anything. 100,000 people standing for 10 minutes, not making a sound. So I have no idea to this day whether that cab did have John Lennon in it or not. Doesn't matter. Whoever was in that cab, I am so grateful, because from that happening It got me to go to that memorial service, which changed my life. And now I'm standing here and able to share that story with you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Kind friends all gather round. There's something I would say. What brings us together here has blessed us all together.